Today on Classroom Dynamics.
But this year, for the first time ever, not only is Thursday, March 12th, the last day of South by Southwest EDU, it is also actually the first official day of South by Southwest. Is the big change for this year. And so on that day, we're really having all, four communities, if you think about South by Southwest innovation, music, film and TV, and EDU, coming together on one day, experiencing not just EDU content, but also South by Southwest innovation sessions, music showcases, film screenings, to again really capitalize on this idea that everything is interconnected, especially from an educational perspective.
Welcome to the place where ideas collide. Adam Todd's here to be your guide. For teachers and techies chasing the spark, classroom dynamics where we leave our mark. Let's dive in deep, the future's bright. Innovation shines like morning light. Teachers and tech hand in hand we go. Welcome to the Classroom Dynamics Show.
Classroom Dynamics is sponsored in part by Logitech Education, empowering student voice and creativity with innovative tools like the Logitech Reach Adjustable Content Camera and the Zone Learn headset designed specifically for student comfort and focus. Discover how Logitech is transforming classrooms at logitech.com/education. Something big is coming to Austin, Texas. It's South by Southwest EDU 2026, where bold ideas meet real classroom impact. This March 12th and 13th, Classroom Dynamics will be live at the Logi Work Lounge with Logitech. So if you're attending, stop by and say hello. Want to be a guest on the show? Email us at classroomdynamicspodcast@gmail.com, and be sure to follow Classroom Dynamics on Instagram, X, and all your favorite platforms for behind-the-scenes content, live updates, and exclusive interviews. Let's connect, record, and talk about what's next in education. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics Bits and Bytes, the podcast within the podcast where we explore cutting-edge technologies for your classroom. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Adam Todd. Today, we're talking about something big, bold, and buzzing with innovation. It's South by Southwest EDU. Now, you may have heard of South by Southwest, the massive conference in Austin, Texas that brings together technology, film, music, culture, and yes, now even podcasts. But it's South by Southwest EDU where education takes center stage. It's where classroom teachers, district leaders, edtech innovators, researchers, and thought leaders all gather together to answer one question: what's next for education? South by Southwest isn't just about trends, it's about transformation. You'll hear conversations around AI in schools, student voice, digital equity, classroom creativity, leadership, assessment innovation, and how all of it connects back to real learning experiences for students. And this March, I'm excited to announce that Classroom Dynamics will be right in the middle of it. We'll be joining Logitech at the Logitech Work Lounge on March 12th and 13th, where innovation meets hands-on experience, a space for educators to connect, explore new tools, record conversations, and talk honestly about what's working in schools right now. Meet us at South by Southwest EDU so we can connect, record, and talk about the real challenges and real wins happening in your schools and classrooms. Because conferences aren't just about sessions, they're about conversations. And of course, we want to hear yours. Now, I recently had the chance to sit down with Julia Shatillo, the Senior Director of South by Southwest EDU, and Nathan Coutinho, the Global Head of Strategic Partner Relations and Market Insights for Logitech, to discuss what attendees can expect at this year's South by Southwest EDU conference and at the Logi Work Lounge. And it's all coming up next on Classroom Dynamics. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Looking to spark excitement in your classroom and save time? Head over to Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From engaging lesson plans to creative lab books and test prep tools, these resources are designed to inspire learning and take the planning stress off your plate. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. For more, search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today.
Each year, South by Southwest EDU joins educators, innovators, and leaders to explore bold ideas shaping the future of teaching and learning. As the education-focused extension of South by Southwest, it serves as a dynamic hub where creativity, research, and real-world classroom impact come together. Today, we're honored to welcome Julia Shatillo, the Senior Director of South by Southwest EDU, the powerhouse event that brings together educators, innovators, policymakers, and creative thinkers from around the globe to shape the future of learning. Julia has been instrumental in curating conversations that don't just spotlight what's next in education, but challenge us to rethink what's possible. From emerging technologies to equity-driven leadership, she's helping build a space where bold ideas meet real classroom impact. Julia, welcome to Classroom Dynamics. I am so excited to get into the vision behind South by Southwest EDU and what educators should be thinking about whether they're attending the conference this year in person or if they're just following along online from home. But first off, just tell everyone a little bit about your primary role with South by Southwest EDU and what can attendees really expect to encounter during the conference this year.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you so much, Adam. It's really a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. To say that we're really excited for South by Southwest EDU would be a complete understatement at this point. So I'm really, really glad to be here. So I am the Senior Director at South by Southwest EDU. So I really oversee the team that puts on most of the programming, really the production, things like that. I've been with the South by Southwest EDU team for, I think, going on 12 or 13 years now. And have played a little bit more of a role specifically on our programming team, overseeing that for a number of years. And this will be actually the first year that I am kind of overseeing the whole thing. So I'm very, very excited for that and to really kind of meet the community in this new role as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what to expect, I think that, we're going into our 16th year, coming off of a really spectacular celebration of 15 years in 2025. And we've definitely had, a lot of changes that I'm sure we'll get into in a second in terms of what the event will look like this year. But I think overall, what folks can expect is just 4 amazing days of not just new learning experiences, but connections with their own community, hopefully, with a dash of fun in there as well for, folks, whether you're an educator, whether you're an administrator, a business professional, a startup founder in the nonprofit space, a policymaker, parent, student, and kind of everybody in between. We really aim to build an experience and an event that really is for every single educator, every single stakeholder in education, and beyond, because at the end of the day, we truly believe that education is really at the foundation of every single life path, if you will. And so, again, we're just really excited to convene everybody in one space in Austin.
Oh, well, listen, this city slicker cannot wait to come down to Austin, Texas. I've never been there, and I've heard so many amazing, wonderful things about South by Southwest. And when I was asked to join Logitech to come down this year for it, obviously, I was a little excited about that too, so I can't wait to join you guys down there. Is there anything different or new with South by Southwest 2026 compared to past years that attendees should know about?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. 2026 for us, not just at South by Southwest EDU, but for South by Southwest overall, is really a really big new adventure. And that's because, as folks who have maybe attended in the past will know, the Austin Convention Center has been our home for many, many years, every year of South by Southwest EDU at this point, the majority of years of South by Southwest. And as of, frankly, mid-2025, the Austin Convention Center is being completely rebuilt and renovated. And so we are really building an experience a little bit from the ground up for this year. And so what that means is that, we are really excited to frankly ingrain even more into the downtown Austin area and experience and really capitalize on having the opportunity for folks, whether you're local, whether you're coming in to join us, of really embracing the city and seeing the city in a different way. We appreciate that obviously this requires a little bit more movement around the downtown Austin area. And so we've also been intentional about co-locating some of our programming for the first time this year. South by Southwest EDU, we don't really have have an annual theme or a topic that we cover every year. Again, because of the diversity of the community that we convene, we try to stay away from, any specific look at any one given subject matter. But that being said, we also appreciate that, folks have goals that they need to meet and are looking to find their community, looking to find their, professional development opportunities. And so with that in mind, we have worked for the first time ever to kind of, like I said, co-locate some of those bigger topics by our venues. And so, for example, K-12 educators will see more of the content that's focused on instructional strategies and what they can do in the classroom in one area of the event, while business professionals and especially, founders will see some of the content that they're more likely interested in a different part of the event. But I say that with definitely a little bit of a caveat, because we also firmly believe that, in order to really get the most out of South by Southwest EDU, we want folks to step outside the box, make time to see something that maybe wasn't initially on their radar, to really make sure that folks are, having those convergent opportunities as well. But again, that being said, we've made, some adjustments to our schedule, things like that, which even if you've been to EDU for a number of years, folks will see a little bit of those changes there. And then the other thing that this is really, again, this kind of revisioning is helping us to deliver on is, for a number of years now at EDU, we have celebrated the last day of the event, which was Thursday, March 12th this year, as Crossover Day. And in the past, we've really seen this as an opportunity to welcome the South by Southwest community into South by Southwest EDU and really kind of have that convergence of communities on that day. But this year, for the first time ever, not only is Thursday, March 12th, the last day of South by Southwest EDU, it is also actually the first official day of South by Southwest. It's the big change for this year. And so on that day, we're really having all, four communities, if you think about South by Southwest innovation, music, film and TV, and EDU, coming together on one day, experiencing not just EDU content, but also South by Southwest innovation sessions, music showcases, film screenings, to again really capitalize on this idea that everything is interconnected, especially from an educational perspective. So that's something that's again even like quite new for us as a team, of how we not visualize, but how we envision that experience, especially on Thursday. This will also mean that Thursday is going to be a full day of programming for South by Southwest EDU, which we typically run more of a half day that day. So it's definitely something that I think across the board, I think just as, internally as a company, we are most excited about, just to see everybody come together on that day. And again, something that's really special as we're again kind of reimagining what South by Southwest and South by Southwest EDU is, and really going kind of on this new adventure this year.
You're kind of like spreading out and taking over the city as opposed
to
just,
little bit.
Right? Instead of just being in the convention center over there instead, right? So that's kind of cool that you're kind of ingraining the cityscape with the conference itself. I think it gives it a kind of cool twist to it.
Yeah, we're really hoping that, folks will take advantage of the opportunity to, even as they're, navigating between the different conference venues that we have, to, check out, whether it's a local restaurant or another local business, maybe more so than they would have had an opportunity in the past, just because of, scheduling and logistics, things like that. But yeah, we're really grateful and excited for that opportunity for sure.
That makes sense, and it's a good way to incorporate the community as well. So I think that's a great thing that you guys are doing. When you were planning for this year's conference, was there any emerging themes or maybe even educational tensions like AI, those kind of things are very tension filled at the moment, that you were kind of committed to elevating this year and bringing attention to? And why do those conversations feel really urgent right now, if so?
I think, we, for both EDU and South by Southwest, for many, many years, most of our conference content is actually crowdsourced through Panel Picker, which is a process that we run over the summer. It's our version of a call for proposals that you might see in other industry events. And that's where that really is that first opportunity that we are seeing how the community is talking about these issues, whether it be in education or in other industries as well. And so that's always a really, really fascinating time for us that, of course, we have in the back of our minds, we have, we're thinking about how different discussions and conversations resonated with attendees the year prior, and things like, and obviously just, kind of keeping up with industry, trends and themes and patterns, if you will. But that when Panel Picker opens in the summer, that's really our first opportunity to see how, folks that are actually doing the work are wrestling with these issues, are thinking about their work, and kind of, for lack of a better term, in what quantities, because I think we definitely see, the topics and themes that, are rising to the top, not just in the number of session proposals we get on a certain topic, but also how the community then continues to talk about these issues. And so that is something for us that's probably the biggest, privilege that we have, is we kind of have this macro, level view almost of how topics are being addressed. But, especially as we're getting into, as we were getting into the review and, selection and things like that, there are definitely, certain things that were rising to the top. I don't think it'll come as a surprise to anybody to hear that AI is definitely one of the most prevalent topics that we're seeing a lot of proposals on. And of course, that we're now seeing a lot on the program. But to me, what's also really interesting is that it's interesting to see how, even the discussion around AI, how that evolves year over year. And so, we've also, seen how, like, first it was kind of the emergence and then kind of the grappling with what it meant. And now something that we're seeing a lot for this year is really how we're addressing and how we are dealing with kind of the humanity aspect in AI and in general tech development overall. And so, and it's really, how are we using AI responsibly? How are we using AI ethically? And frankly, looking at that from different facets, because again, obviously it depends on the work that you're doing in the space to what that actually means for you. And so it's been really, really interesting and wonderful to see all these, frankly, really nuanced conversations about what it means now, what it might mean in the future, how, folks are either adopting it, adapting it, and even in certain situations, we're seeing kind of the pushback against it and kind of going back to either, lower tech solutions or, frankly, even analog solutions. So that's been really interesting.
It's almost been like this kind of tidal wave over the last couple of years where, people were introduced to it. They were a little scared of it, but really intrigued by it at the same time. And it just, the tsunami of AI that's attacked teachers in the last maybe year and a half. I think you're right. A lot of people are like, okay, that's good. I'm good. Let's go back to the way it used to be. But it's a good point that you're bringing up about AI.
Yeah. And I think, related to that, we've also seen an almost kind of, sub through line here is, and this is a conversation that, of course, that we've been, or I should say a topic that we have been looking at every angle. I think it was most obvious in, the 2020, 2021 years, but in general, mental health and mental well-being. And I think this year we're seeing a lot of conversations about what it means to, think about mental health in the age of AI. One of our keynote conversations will actually be addressing this specifically with youth. And so I think that, again, it's another one of those evolution of topics that it's really just, again, so interesting to see how these topics are also coalescing. And so whether it's, again, in the tech space, whether it's in more of this kind of well-being space, and frankly, these things are, applicable
all spaces.
Even beyond. Exactly.
Yeah, all the spaces really
exactly.
right now.
Exactly. So that's definitely a big one. And then, finally, just, and I appreciate this is a very much, very, very basic kind of coverage. And I always make the joke that, we can't pick our favorite children because we're so excited about everything on our program. But, the other kind of big thing that I think we'd be remiss not to mention is just thinking about and addressing how folks are navigating change. I think right now, there's a lot of change, whether, on the micro level that folks are kind of dealing with on a day-to-day basis, but also if we're looking at education systems and models, not just in the United States, but beyond, a lot of things are changing. Funding is changing, infrastructure is changing or going away. In certain places. And so there's of course quite a lot of, discourse about what that means, whether it's, for local communities, whether it's for, classrooms, whether it's for, these whole systems of what we have always known to kind of be kind of the bastions of education, especially in higher ed. I think you're seeing that a lot now too. So that's definitely another one of the kind of bigger buckets, I guess I could say, of the topics and themes that we're seeing.
Well, you always got to go big in Texas, right? So here's the thing. So my first day is actually going to be the last day of the EDU conference, but let's pretend I've been there for the few days, the 4 days there.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, does success for you look like when you see attendees leave South by Southwest EDU after they leave the conference and they're ready to go home? How are you intentionally trying to engineer moments that spark that long-term collaboration rather than that one time I was here at the conference and now I'm gone kind of inspiration?
Yeah, no, that's a really fantastic question. I think, if we're being honest, we work so hard every year to build a dynamic, compelling, impactful program because, again, we appreciate that, a lot of folks come to the event to do continuing professional education, which is an opportunity that we offer, as well as to, really have a meaningful learning experience. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing and the measure of success that, we hold is that we always aim to convene the best community we can. And, we're biased. Our community is the best community. We really aim to bring people together because that power of connection is really what ultimately at the end of the day is important. And so and I think we learned that again over the last few years very acutely, that being in community, sharing ideas, collaborating is not just, frankly, extrinsically important because, it could result in a partnership, in a funding round, in a new collaborator, but also intrinsically, we're trying to get people to, fill their cup, leave inspired, and really leave energized for the work that they're doing. And so in addition to, again, a lot of compelling programming, we work really hard on the networking piece of the event. So one of the most popular programs that we run are our one-on-one mentor sessions and our roundtable mentoring, which not only, of course, provides kind of more of the mentorship advice relationship, but also just a one-on-one connection or again, a smaller group connection to other attendees at the event. And then we also have a number of social events that are, again, a little bit more focused around subject matter, whether it's our programmatic meetups, which obviously convene around a specific topic or issue, but you're, meeting like-minded people there. But we also have things that are a little bit more casual, like our walking tours or our pop-up dinners that we do. And, my best piece of advice to everybody is like, hey, you might be waiting in line for something or you're waiting for a session to start, say hello to your neighbor because you never know who you're going to run into. And we've been one of the biggest privileges, I think, of doing this for as long as I've been doing is hearing stories of people that come back the next year and be like, I met, someone at last year's South by Southwest EDU and we're starting a company together. Or, we are now working on this big project that just got funded. Or heck, people have told me they have met their, future spouses at the event, which, just makes me giddy. So I think ultimately that's really where the power of the event is. It's not just a way to learn something new, showcase your work. Our speakers and our presenters are incredible individuals doing amazing work across a lot of different spaces. But it's really, again, that people connection and bringing everybody in community that I think is most important to us.
Listen, I can't wait to go. I can't even begin to tell you how I can't wait to go. Thank you for joining us today to give us a sneak peek into South by Southwest EDU 2026. I know, like I said, I'm really excited to see how this year's experience continues to challenge, inspire, and of course, move education forward because I think that's what we're all in it for. Before we go, just tell everyone where they can go to find out more about South by Southwest EDU and how they can even attend this year's festivities if they haven't even thought about it yet.
Yes, absolutely. So South by Southwest EDU is happening March 9th through 12th this year in Austin, Texas. You can find more information at our website, which is just SXSW EDU.com. There's a lot of great information about registering to attend, what to expect. And we'd love to have you, Adam. We're so excited to have you join us this year. And the more the merrier, because again, it's something that you won't want to miss.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we're going to sit down with Nathan Coutinho, the Global Head of Strategic Partner Relations and Market Insights for Logitech, to discuss what attendees can expect at the Logi Work Lounge at this year's South by Southwest EDU conference. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Bullying affects every school, but together we can change the story. Box Out Bullying brings powerful bullying prevention education to life through engaging, interactive theater that gets students thinking, participating, and learning in meaningful ways. Through dynamic school assemblies, classroom workshops, and training for educators and families, Box Out Bullying equips entire school communities with the tools to build empathy, confidence, and respect. Whether in person or online, these high-energy programs inspire students to be upstanders, not bystanders, and help create safer, more inclusive learning environments. Make your school a place where every student feels seen, supported, and valued. Box Out Bullying. Empower, include, respect. For more, visit boxoutbullying.com today.
Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics. Nathan Coutinho is the Global Head of Strategic Partner Relations and Market Insights for Logitech, and he's here to discuss what attendees can expect at the Logi Work Lounge at this year's South by Southwest EDU conference. Nathan, Logitech has always focused on creativity, productivity, and learning innovation. With that said, what can educators expect to experience at the Logi Work Lounge at South by Southwest EDU that they won't see anywhere else at the conference?
So at Logitech, we obviously have a lot of products that we make specifically for education now. We have a wide variety of products that can be used. But we obviously have some specific EDU products. And at the Logi Work Lounge, we will have the Zone Learn headset, which a lot of schools are using for their kids right now because, as you know, you're wearing one right now. So one of the best things about this headset is we talk to teachers about what their real needs were. So obviously we make lots of headsets, but they really appreciate the different size ear cups, the fact that you can use one headset with different cables. We even have these systems for teachers to be able to store them. So it's really made for a child. So that's one product. We also have the rugged combo that's made specifically for students so that, you know, when they drop it, it doesn't break. It has a really nice keyboard that if you drop water on it, it's still is going to be able to be functional. And a few other things. Like one other thing I do want to mention is we have two different areas at South by Southwest. One is obviously Logi Work Lounge, which is off 7th Street. But then we also have Logi Work on Wheels, which is a physical trailer that we built with all our technology. Now, this has education and non-education products as well. But one of the education products we made was the Reach, right? So Logitech Reach was specifically made for teachers to be able to very easily manipulate the camera, move it really close to like a globe or a car or some sort of lesson that they're trying to show students either physically in class on a larger screen or on a remote call, right? Like we are on Zoom. So there's a lot of reasons to go to both. And if anything, it just kind of gives you an idea as to where we're headed and, you know, how we're bringing all these products to our customers.
So you lead the strategic partner relations and market insights globally. So what are some of the trends? I see the trends myself just being in the classroom, but what are some of the trends that you guys are seeing in education technology right now that are really shaping how Logitech designs those tools for classrooms, especially in a 21st century classroom? How do you guys all work that out?
So I think when we started, we were building products specifically for the classroom. As you probably know, there's students at home, there's students like remotely right now. So our products really kind of go into two different directions, right? They're built really for the classroom, but obviously we can build them for home as well. And that's why we have all these webcams and these headsets that kind of work across the forum. But we actually recently we did two surveys and two reports, one with Avixa and one with Full Scale, kind of focusing on the tech trends. And the one common element across all these surveys is that there's a massive increase in technology in the classroom. And one of the things Logitech is known for is simplicity, right? We're trying to make things super simple. The Zone Learn headset is a great example, right? It's analog, it's simple, it fits children's heads of actually various sizes, right? But simplicity is now really important because just look at the tech. Like we were talking about all the AI tech that's out there, all the different buttons you hit in a video conference as an example. Things are really complicated, right? So we're introducing and continuing to introduce simplicity into our entire stack. And that's what the survey says. Listen, there's a lot of technology. There's a lot of technology out there being adopted by children, by teachers, all the way up to university as well. But what we're trying to do is not only, yes, we have lots of technology, but we're trying to make it simpler. And you will see that across all the technology at Logi Work Lounge, as well as Logi Work on Wheels.
And the ease of use for kids. That's the other important part, right? Yes, and I love the Zone because environmentally speaking, something can go wrong. You don't have to replace the whole thing. It's something simple that you can replace. So that simplicity and the knowledge and the kind of lack of fear that you're going to lose something because it's not working or it broke, that's actually a big plus too.
Replaceable parts. The fact that I think in our ads when we first started releasing Zone Learn, we showed I think it was Cheerios and the headset falling on the floor. These are all real world scenarios, right? Kids are going to drop stuff.
Kids drop stuff all the time. I'm a witness. I've seen it.
So I think that's the genesis of this whole thing was we talked to teachers. We understood what the needs were. We found out what people didn't like about our headsets. And that's, why we actually released it. And that's the focus. And all these products that we make, the rugged combo, even Crayon. I didn't mention Crayon. We have Crayon also in both places, right? The one part about the Crayon, as I'm sure you know, is that, first of all, it doesn't fall. It doesn't roll off. And believe it or not, that button to power it on and off is super important. Obviously, it charges and holds a charge for a very long time. But the fact that you can actually turn it off and as a teacher, okay, it's off. I don't have to charge it again tomorrow. Or even from a student perspective, that adds a lot of value. And the little indicator that tells you how much battery. There's little things that, you really don't think of in most, pencils and things that are out there. But I think that's what most teachers appreciate. It's easy. It pairs automatically. It's got a power button. Really simple.
It's simple as easy, right? That's what we want. So the Logi Work Lounge, as we're calling it, is going to be really a must-visit destination at South by Southwest. If I'm an educator walking into that space, what's one wow moment you think I'll be talking about long after the conference ends?
It's a good question. So just first of all, if you are going to stop by the Logi Work Lounge, please register. I'll give you the URL so you can put that in your post. But there's a couple of things, right? I think we've set up the lounge for a couple of reasons. Number one, at South by Southwest, it's going to be loud. It's going to be really, really busy. So we built it for people to find a quiet space to get some work done. We've outfitted it with all our technology. So you get to firsthand experience what a webcam or a headset or a keyboard feels like. In addition to all the education products, we've set up also a podcast area. So one of the big areas now in pretty much all industries is everyone's recording their own videos, right? I record my own videos. So I've actually set up our podcast. So we actually use Mevo cameras, and in this case, Mevo Core cameras in our setups. So we've set up 3 Mevo cameras. We're going to do a live podcast. So you can experience the podcast live. You can ask questions, how we've set things up, how we've done the lighting, how we do post-production. We did it for a reason because a lot of customers have questions because they don't know how to do it. To be fair, I learned everything about building a podcast studio on YouTube. I've invested probably thousands of hours over the last 2 years. I'm sure you've done the same, right? But it's nice when you just have someone that knows how to do it. And we figured out how to do it. And even if we don't use our products, right, we show you the kind of the process for it. And that's why we set it up. So I think it's a great place to take a break, take a couple calls. We'll have some refreshments there. We'll have great conversations about our product lines and kind of the future of work and where we're headed.
Classroom Dynamics will be there, and I'm very happy to be there because, you're right, we are going to showcase how our setups look. I teach podcasting to 5th graders, so I needed to know when I did Classroom Dynamics that I would be able to understand the process so I could teach the kids how to do it. And using the Logitech equipment really obviously does help. So it's a perfect example of we're really going to be showcasing real world applications, real world tools, and really showcasing what we can do in the classroom, not just in theory.
Yeah, and of course, you're going to be on my podcast too. So you're going to be on Unscripted, which is the Logitech for Business podcast, right? But talking about exactly this, there's so many pieces of it that you are seeing that I'd like you to share with even our user base, right? Because it's important. I think everyone, it's hard to believe, but I feel like everyone is becoming a creator now, right? For some reason, or whatever reason, if it's a short
it
definitely feels like it. I was actually experimenting with CapCut the other day, which I've refused to kind of use CapCut for a long time. But CapCut is just the easy button, isn't it? It's just crazy. And I use like Final Cut and I get into color grading and I'm a complete like video nerd in that sense. So it's kind of like against the grain for me a little bit, but I mean, the effects are great. I can now see what the kids like about it. I'm still not on TikTok, still refuse, but for the most part, I've kind of gotten into vertical video now, which I don't like vertical. I'm a purist in terms of 16:9 or letterbox, but I have gotten a little bit into vertical video because that's how they consume content. And the number one thing I've learned, and we can talk about this on our podcast too, I've learned that you've got to go where the people are. right? You can't just say, I'm not going to do Instagram or I'm not going to do TikTok. If the users are on TikTok, you have to go to TikTok. That's just the hard reality. And I'm learning that the hard way, but I'm also old school. So I'm trying to, maintain best of all worlds.
Well, listen, special thanks to you, Nathan Catino, the Global Head of Strategic Partner Relations and Market Insights for Logitech, for joining me today to talk about the excitement really surrounding South by Southwest EDU this year. I, for one, cannot wait. I can't wait to work with you guys and see you guys in person. And remember, if you're going to be attending the conference, be sure to stop by and say hello to both of us. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now, for more on the South by Southwest Conference and the Logi Work Lounge, here are our Google Notebook LM host, Bits and Bytes.
South by Southwest EDU 2026, Austin, Texas. Just looking at the sheer scale of this event.
Oh, it is massive. Over 300 sessions, films, exhibitions.
Yeah, it feels less like a conference and more like an overwhelming city-state of education theory.
It definitely creates a lot of noise.
Yeah.
But if you look at the source material we pulled for this deep dive, the real story isn't just the volume.
Right, it's a shift in focus.
Exactly. Usually these events are heavy on the philosophy of learning, the whole what if.
But this year, especially with that collaboration between Logitech and the Classroom Dynamics podcast, we're seeing a hard pivot to how-to.
Which is exactly the mission for today's deep dive. We aren't just reading you the schedule.
No, we want to look at the interception of classroom innovation, the explosion of artificial intelligence, and
crucially, the physical hardware that actually allows those two things to talk to each other.
Because that's often the missing link, right? You can have the most advanced AI curriculum in the world, but if the physical interface fails,
the learning stops.
Right. But before we get into the gear, let's contextualize the environment a bit for you. The main festival runs March 9th through the 12th.
And you've got some heavy hitters giving keynotes. Monica J. Sutton, Nicole Hannah-Jones.
But our sources emphasize that the real practical value this year is in the mentorship opportunities. There are over 120 of them.
It's moving way beyond that old sage on the stage model. It's about bridging the gap between high-level policy like AI equity and what a teacher actually does on a Tuesday morning.
Which brings us perfectly to the Logitech Work Lounge.
Yes, happening March 12th and 13th at Upstairs at Caroline on East 7th Street.
The marketing copy calls it a sanctuary to escape the chaos. Which usually just means, what, free coffee and a chair?
Right, grab a snack, take a breath. But digging deeper, this is actually a live content studio.
And this is where Adam Todd comes in. He hosts Classroom Dynamics.
But he's not just recording interviews in a booth. He's running a live forum right there on the future of teaching.
And tackling the elephant in the room, which is AI. But, everyone is talking about AI. What makes this specific conversation at the lounge different?
The participation element. They aren't broadcasting to you. They are actively soliciting educators and edtech innovators to join the recording.
So they want real-time feedback on how AI is altering classroom dynamics. Literally, the interpersonal flow of a room.
Exactly. It's a feedback loop. If you're a teacher or an innovator, you don't just listen. You can grab the mic.
And while you are debating modern teaching strategies with Adam, you're literally surrounded by the tools Logitech is pushing as the solution.
The physical side of that digital problem.
Let's
talk about that gear, because the sources list some very specific items you can test out.
Right. They have workspaces designed for focus and collaboration. They highlight the Zone Learn headset, the rugged Combo 4Touch, and the Logitech Crayon.
Now, to the layperson, a stylus might just be a stylus.
You'd think so. But in an edtech context, no. The Crayon uses Apple Pencil technology, which means zero lag.
Which really matters when you're trying to teach a student to annotate a complex AI-generated diagram. Precision is key.
And the rugged Combo.
That addresses the durability crisis. Schools spend millions on iPads that break in a week.
It turns a consumption device into a creation device. That's a huge distinction.
And then you have the Zone Learn headset,
which tackles cognitive load. Modern classrooms are loud.
Very loud. The sources highlight that this headset is designed specifically for sustained focus and comfort. It makes noise canceling an accessibility requirement.
Not just a luxury. And if you can't get into the lounge to demo these, there's a pop-up called Work on Wheels at 4th and Brazos.
Right, running March 12th through the 14th. That's the spot with the Mega MX mouse.
A giant mouse photo op. It's a spectacle, but the hook is the productivity glow-up. You can get swag and nominate your school to win a tech overhaul.
So here's what this means for you. You really need to register in advance for the Logitech Work Lounge.
Use the Logitech SXSW 2026 link. Don't wait until you're already in Austin.
And more importantly, if you want to join the conversation on air, Adam Todd wants you on the mic.
You can contact Classroom Dynamics directly, email them at classroomdynamicspodcast@gmail.com, or hit their link tree. They need practitioners, not just pundits.
Exactly. Real people in the room.
So here is a final thought for you to mull over. We spend so much time debating software, AI models, algorithms, but does the future of education actually hinge on the hardware?
It's an interesting question. Can a student truly be future-proofed if the physical tool in their hand can't keep up with the speed of their thoughts?
It's the bridge between the mind and the machine. If that bridge is shaky, the traffic stops entirely.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Classroom Dynamics. I hope today's conversation sparked something meaningful for you, maybe a new idea, a fresh perspective, or just a little boost of motivation to take back to your classroom. Remember, it's never too late to strengthen your craft, and if there's ever a moment to re-energize your work, why not make it today? I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. Follow us on X at Class Dynamics and on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. If you haven't already, go to your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts or Spotify and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement into your everyday routines. Until then, keep that spark alive and never underestimate the incredible impact you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think. Did you miss our Rethinking Bullying Prevention in Schools Through Performance episode? If so, we sat down with Jeremy Rubenstein of Box Out Bullying to explore how high-energy theater can spark empathy, inclusion, and lasting change in school culture. Discover how storytelling can become your school's most powerful tool for kindness.
Oh man, Adam, it's changed everything. You know, I remember when I was in school, right? Definitely in the BC before Corona, but that's when the dial-up was there. It's like, it used to end when you left the building, all those kids home, into their bedrooms, into their phones. It's 24/7. There's no break. It's like there's no off switch. And, when I talk to parents, I tell them that when you give your child an iPad or a smartphone with access to the internet, you don't give the internet to your kid. You give your kid to the internet.